Have you ever felt like you're in a place that just doesn't matter? A season, a job, or even a town that feels completely overlooked, totally insignificant. It's exhausting trying to make something out of what feels like nothing. But what if those overlooked moments aren't a mistake? What if they're actually the centerpiece of God's strategy for your life? For centuries, an ancient prophecy promised a saviour would come from a tiny, almost forgotten town called Bethlehem. Today, we're looking at the strategy behind that humble stable, because it shows how God uses the insignificant to do the impossible. We know the story, of course. A young couple, a hard journey, and no room in the inn. They find refuge in a space for animals with a feeding trough for a crib. No strategist would choose a stable for the arrival of a king, yet that's exactly what God did. The choice of Bethlehem wasn't an accident or a backup plan. It was a deliberate, divine masterstroke, centuries in the making. That stable wasn't a setback. It was the stage. Over 700 years before that night, the prophet Micah delivered a stunningly specific message from God. But you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, are only a small village among all the people of Judah. Yet a ruler of Israel will come from you on my behalf. God didn't point to the power of Jerusalem or the power of Rome. He pointed to Bethlehem, a town so overlooked it was sometimes left off official lists. He announced his strategy centuries in advance, even using a decree from Caesar Augustus to move Mary and Joseph into the exact right place at the exact right time. God didn't just know it would happen in Bethlehem, he chose it. The question is, why? First, it was about the lineage of a king. Bethlehem was the city of David, the hometown of Israel's greatest king. God had promised David one of his descendants would sit on the throne forever. For Jesus to be the prophesied Messiah, the son of David, his birth in David's city was essential. It stamped his lineage with royal authority. Second, it was about the house of bread. The name Bethlehem literally means house of bread. This isn't a minor detail. It's the cornerstone of the strategy. In the house of bread, the one who would declare, "I am the bread of life," was born. And he was placed in a manger, a feeding trough. From his first breath, God was showing us that he is the provision for our deepest hunger. This is where God's ancient strategy becomes intensely personal. The pattern in Bethlehem is the one he uses in our lives, delighting in using the small and overlooked to do his greatest work. Maybe you're in a Bethlehem moment right now, feeling small or forgotten. I've been there, facing a sudden job loss and feeling my identity crumble. You look at your circumstances and they feel more like a humble stable than they do a palace. You see limitation, not potential. But the strategy of the stable declares that God chose Bethlehem because it was small. He chose the stable to prove his power isn't tied to worldly status. Your humble circumstances don't disqualify you. They qualify you for his grace. Your weakness is where his strength shows up. The parts of your story that feel insignificant are where he is writing his masterpiece. The strategy is clear. God uses the humble to display his glory and the small to change the world. The prophecy, the lineage, the bread of life, it all reveals an intentional God who chose an overlooked town to show us that no person is ever overlooked by him. So what is your Bethlehem moment right now? If you feel comfortable, share in the comments how this encourages you to see God's strategy at work. I'm Rob, and this is the Battle Drill Daily Devotional, here to help you start your day spiritually strong. If this was meaningful, I hope you'll join us tomorrow for day 4 of our Advent journey.